Okay, welcome. Today we have another camping recipe video using a hot tent wood stove again. This time we're cooking a really tasty red Thai curry and I'm using tofu for my protein, and this meal is 100% plant-based, but if you would rather have meat, then chicken, shrimp, beef or maybe fish would work great with this recipe as well. Now, for the ingredients, do check the description for weights and amounts, along with the full written method, but I am using tofu, basmati rice, veg bouillon stock, creamed coconut, green beans, a red onion, a garlic clove, ginger, and red Thai curry paste. Now, first things first, you've got to make sure that your stove is well fed with wood throughout this process. Always keep an eye on it, as it is easy to forget about while you're cooking and the heat can quickly reduce. So, as I say, keep an eye on it, make sure that you've got wood ready to go and you're regularly stoking it up, otherwise things just won't cook. Now, cooking while camping can be pretty challenging at first, as you can't do all the things that you can usually do at home with like instant heat, instant boiled water whenever you need it. You won't have access to lots of different pans and utensils. So you kind of have to plan things out well in advance and order them a little differently to what you would at home. Also, I did do quite a lot of prep at home here before coming camping. For example, the cashews I pre-toasted. I pre-chopped the ginger, as this also saves a lot of time and fiddliness rather than doing it while you're cooking. You can prepare it all at camp, but I would advise for certain things, prepare it before you come camping, but check first to make sure that what you are doing is going to be fine. For example, you don't really want to chop garlic before coming because it can go off once you've chopped into it. Now, for this recipe, you will need a frying pan, a pot for making stock, and then using the same pot for boiling the rice, and a spatula is helpful as well, or a fork. Now, the first thing we need to do is make the curry stock, as we will be using the same pot for boiling the rice. So start by boiling 100 ml of water, and then once it's boiling, add about 4 grams of vegetable stock. Again, I use bouillon because you can just add a little bit here and there rather than a full cube. And about 14 grams of creamed coconut that I've kind of pre-chopped because it can take a while to dissolve. Stir that into your water once the water is boiled, and then at the end you'll have this nice creamy coconut stock. Now, while that water is boiling, get your frying pan on the stove and put a drizzle of oil in there and let that warm up. Then grab your red onion and your garlic clove and just finely chop the garlic and slice the onion into smaller pieces as you see here, and then just pop them aside. You'll be using those a little later on. Now, you will want to find some form of container or bowl to store your stock in, as you won't be using that until a bit later on as well. Now, I highly recommend using these Human Gear Stacks pots. I've been using these for so long now, and you will see me using them for all of my ingredients. They are perfect for camp cooking, as you can have small pots, medium, large pots. They work amazingly. They seal it all off. I will link them below in the description. For anything that I am using during my videos, always check the description if you would like to know what it is and where to find it. Now, once your oil has heated in the pan, throw in your protein. As I say, I am using tofu, which I have already broken up into smaller pieces to save time. Depending on what you're using, you can do this before camping or while you're there. Just make sure you're chopping them into sort of bite-sized pieces and then browning them off nicely in the pan. Now, if you are using meat, make sure that you are cooking it thoroughly first, especially when it comes to things like chicken. Get that cooked through. It is also a nice idea to maybe marinate the tofu. I often do it in soy sauce. I didn't bother this time because I never really thought about it, but it's an option. Now, once your stock is done and you've transferred it to a separate pot, it is now time to cook your rice. Personally, I use about 60 grams of dried basmati rice to about 120 ml of cold water. So put your water in first so that you get the accurate measurement, and then add your rice, and then sit it on the stove with the lid off for now until the water is boiling. Once it's boiling, put the lid on and keep checking it. In ideal conditions, it takes about 9 minutes for the rice to fully absorb all the water and then become perfectly fluffy. But that's on a hob when you've got the ideal heat simmering it. We don't have that luxury while you're cooking on a wood stove. So find a place where you can sit the pot slightly on the heat, but also slightly off, and then just sort of keep rotating it and stirring it every so often as well, as the rice can easily stick to the bottom, and you really don't want that to happen while camping. It's a pain at the best of times, so just keep an eye on it. This is one of the reasons why I went with this mini Pomoli stove, as it has the wings on it where you can kind of place things on and off of the heat rather than everything just being completely on. And again, keep checking the rice, making sure that you're stirring it so it doesn't stick. And keep checking that stove to ensure it has enough fuel and it's generating enough heat. I will keep mentioning that throughout. Now, once the tofu has browned, add the red onion and let that soften in the pan. I did add a little salt here too, but that's entirely up to you. Get your ginger and your red Thai curry ready. Again, here I'm using these Human Gear Stacked pots. These are the small ones, great for like spices and things, rather than taking up a huge pot. I will do a dedicated video at some point about these pots because they really are that good. And I may do a full breakdown of the things that I use to cook with at some point. If that is of interest, let me know in the comments and it will tell me if it's worth doing. Now, once the onion has softened enough, throw in your garlic and ginger. You can use garlic powder if you so wish to. I had the real thing lying around, so I used that one and got it prepared beforehand, but oftentimes I'll just throw garlic powder in because I'm lazy. Cook that for about 1 to 2 minutes, and once it becomes really fragrant, which does smell amazing, throw in your curry paste and your green beans, which I have just pre-chopped, and then add your coconut stock. Stir it all in, mixing everything together nicely, and then cook that for about 5 minutes, just letting everything thicken up and absorb all the flavors. Again, keep checking the stove and feeding it if it needs more heat. Keep checking your rice to make sure that it's stirred and that the water hasn't all gone. If it has, just simply take it off the heat and keep stirring that curry every so often. And as long as you're doing that, you can really just kick back and have a beer as well. Now, once your rice is cooked and your curry is ready to serve, add the rice to your bowl. If the curry needs a little bit more time and the rice is finished, just keep the rice in the pot, set aside off the heat so that it retains that heat as much as possible. But if the curry is ready, pour the curry to the side of the rice. I did this outside, otherwise I would just pour it all over my tent. And then add the toasted cashews and you're done. That is it. That is how you make a red Thai curry on a wood stove in a tent. And again, all the ingredients and the method can be found below, along with a list of everything that I use during my camps. And if you would like to see the full camp of this overnight camp that I had, I think it was a 2-nighter at a campsite, unfortunately, but if you want to watch the full thing, I will link that in the description as well. Now, for clarity, the links to the products that I use below are Amazon affiliate links. It doesn't cost you any extra if you use those links, but it does directly support the channel with a little kickback, which is very much appreciated. But that is how you cook a red Thai curry. It is an amazing feeling cooking a curry like that while you're camping, and it smelled and tasted incredible, and there is really no need to limit yourself to eating rubbish while camping, especially those MREs. I just can't get my head around them. They don't look very nice. With that though, be sure to subscribe if you would like to see more camping recipes or my wild camp adventures and gear reviews. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind. It does the channel a huge favour. And I'll see you in the next one.